Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. You can tell the Alberta NDP is in really bad shape right now based on what they choose to declare victory over. Alberta NDP leader Naheed Nenshi has degraded that party's support so badly that he had to pretend it was a big victory the other day that the Alberta NDP was able to win 2 out of 3 by-elections that were held. The two that they won were both in Edmonton, a city that the NDP has won every single seat in for the past 3 elections straight. It is just a union and government worker town. That is why the NDP wins. And even in one of the ridings, Edmonton Ellerslie, they dropped 11 points of support since the 2023 election, and the UCP went up a bit despite having to compete with other right wing parties running against them. I need to show you this clip because it's absolutely hilarious. So Nenshi, who ran in the riding of Edmonton Strathcona, the safest seat for the NDP in the entire province, he got up on that his victory night to say that Albertans across the province had basically sent a message to Danielle Smith. Check this out.
He said tonight's by-elections show that Albertans do not want to separate from Canada.
We get one message from today. That message should be that Albertans have, across this province, resoundingly rejected the UCP's plans for taking Alberta out of Canada.
Now, that's patently insane, and I'm about to get to it. I just want you to also hear this next part because there is a bit of it I want to comment on.
Then she also said his party will be working to improve affordability, health care, and public education, target organized crime, and prevent coal mining in the Rocky Mountains.
Who could guess why this party's not popular in Alberta right now? We only want to shut down coal mining in the province. Oh, but coal mining's bad. Oh, but coal mining's bad for the environment. Okay, that's people's jobs, and no, it's not. I think that people are allowed to use whatever energy they please. And in fact, they phased out coal when they were in government back in 2015 to 2019, which ended up leading to near power outages in the frigid winter. But, you keep doing this, guys. Keep doing this. I guarantee you will get a lot of support from the union members you rely on when you start trying to take their jobs away. But now let's talk about the former part of that clip where he says that this is Albertans across the province sending a message to Danielle Smith and the UCP that they don't want Alberta taken out of Canada. The UCP aren't doing that. It is a pro-federalist party. They want to stay in Canada. The line Danielle Smith keeps saying is she wants a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. She wants a strong Alberta within a united Canada. So there's a few variations of it. How is this a refutation of what the UCP is supposedly doing? Even if we were to pretend that they were even doing that, you won a riding that the NDP hasn't lost since 1992, Edmonton Strathcona. And in 92, they lost it to the Alberta Liberals, who don't even exist anymore. And the last time they lost it to a Conservative party was in 1982, back when Alberta politics was effectively just the Progressive Conservatives versus the Social Credit Party. Yeah. And then Ellerslie, it's been an NDP riding for quite a while now, since 2015. Last time the PCs won it was back in 2012. They did run the guy who used to be the MLA in this election, but it's a by-election. The NDP put a lot of resources into holding on to it, but even their vote share there fell down. The UCP, by the way, won the riding of Olds Didsbury Three Hills, which is a UCP stronghold. But by the way, they defeated a separatist party in that election. So the UCP are the separatist party, yet their big victory in election night was clobbering the Republican Party of Alberta in that riding. And the NDP did not do very well in that riding. I think they gained like 1% of the vote from what they had gotten last time in the general election. No, this is not Albertans across the province telling Danielle Smith they don't want to leave. This is voters in Edmonton Strathcona and Edmonton Ellerslie. So voters all the way from Edmonton, the center of Edmonton, to the southeast of Edmonton, saying they will still vote for the NDP like they voted for last time. I guess you just get to declare that your victory means anything when you win. I guess to the victor goes the spoils. If I ever win an election one day, guys, I'm going to say that it's because that this is demonstrating that Canadians all over the multiverse really like Jell-O. because I won a riding in the middle of Calgary, or I won a riding in wherever I choose to run. I'm going to run in Yukon and say that this proves that voters across Canada want New Brunswick to not sink into the ocean. I need to bring up some other stuff regarding this. So Danielle Smith has recently posted a video about her Alberta Next program that she's launching. The Alberta Next panel, which is an explicitly anti-separatist program. It is basically it's kind of like the I forget what it was called, but we had a similar panel that was kind of exploring other ways for Alberta to basically be treated more fairly within Canada, and this is kind of a follow-on to that. The Alberta Next panel is people being able to basically try and give policy proposals to the Alberta government. They're going to have a series of town halls, all that stuff, and yeah, it's not a separatist thing. But because Mr. Nenshi has absolutely nothing to run on, he is having to pretend that this is a new separatist move. So, and he is, it's so tiring. No wonder nobody likes this guy. He used to be popular as the mayor of Calgary, but people have to remember he kind of acted more like a center-left moderate for his first 2 terms. Was he good? No. But at the same time, he kind of tamped down his more radical side. Towards the end, he became a defund the police, hyper progressive, that climate change is now a municipal issue, bike lanes everywhere, just like anti-oil and gas guy towards the end. And he even and he's never gotten off that. He is just a snarky jerk. And this is why people don't like him anymore. It's because he only cares about his own opinion, and unless you're going to parrot his opinion back to him, he doesn't care about what you think. And so he says here, Albertans should ask the Premier why she is wasting public dollars on this separatist pet project where there are so many pressing issues that need to be dealt with. Read my full statement regarding Alberta Next panel survey below. Yes, there's pressing issues that need to be dealt with, like the Alberta NDP wanting to shut down the coal industry. They also want to nationalize DMVs. I don't know why. They tried that during Notley's time as premier, and it was a complete disaster. And she goes on in his statement to say the UCP government surveys aren't about creating new jobs, bringing back investment, lowering the cost of utilities and car insurance, making our streets safer, reducing wait times in our overcrowded yards, or getting the teachers we need, or stop coal mining in the Rockies. They really do keep bringing that up. Instead, they've rolled out a separatist do-nothing panel that will cause serious damage to our economy and Alberta's reputation as a place to invest. It is literally the opposite of that. The whole point of the Alberta Next panel is to basically put pressure on Mark Carney to take some reasonable suggestions from Alberta on how to fix the relationship between Alberta and the Canadian government in order to stave off the separatist movement. Because although the Republican Party of Alberta proved itself to not be very popular, the actual separatist movement is probably more popular than the Republican Party is, because people may not want to vote for a separatist party, but they may vote for separatism itself if it is a referendum question. And so the Alberta Next panel is basically trying to put things up for a referendum to basically push forward specific policies, come up with some policy ideas, put it on for a referendum, and then use that vote to put pressure on Carney to approve pipelines. And Carney's been playing a lot of games saying that he wants to get big projects done. That's what Bill C-5 is all about. But then attaching so many strings to projects, saying it needs to be private investment, which is what David Eby in British Columbia is also demanding if there's a Western pipeline. It's saying that they still have to go through all the environmental inspections, and we need Indigenous consultation and Indigenous buy-in on this thing. And also, we're not going to get rid of Bill C-69 and Bill C-48, but we can find a way of getting it done, which is kind of deliberately meant to scare away private investment. So Danielle Smith is playing her cards very well right now. She has all the momentum, and Nenshi has none of it. And also, all he has is just this separatist boogeyman that he keeps going on about. Apparently the separatist boogeyman and wanting coal miners to lose their jobs. That is what is going to rocket the NDP back into office. Peter McCaffrey pointed out, Alberta polls since Nenshi joined the NDP. March 2024, UCP 46, NDP 44. August 2024, UCP 48, NDP 40. May 2025, UCP 52, NDP 38. June 2025, UCP 58, NDP 32. UCP is up 12, the NDP is down 12. And yeah, and he was responding to this CTV Edmonton article saying people are really angry. NDP leader Naheed Nenshi says separatism talk turn voters off conservatives. Turn voters off conservatives. Oh, you mean the conservatives didn't win Strathcona? Who could have guessed they wouldn't have won Strathcona? What a mystery as to why they didn't win Edmonton Strathcona. And again, this is all he does now. It is just this.
Obviously, you've been sitting on the sidelines in that time while Christina Gray has been handily running the ship. A 1 year wait, though, how much of an actual turning point does this by-election win represent for you?
It's more symbolic than anything else, and it's sort of under the hood more than anything else, because I have been working more than full time this entire time. The only thing is, for the 12 or 13 weeks of the year that the legislature was sitting, I think it might have been 16 this year, I wasn't literally in the House. I was sitting in the gallery for those minutes. So a lot will change under the hood in terms of making my life a bit easier, in terms of what I can access, what I can do, and so on. Certainly, Christina's life will be a bunch easier, but I'm not sure people will see much of a difference in terms of us being in their lives and talking about what's important to Albertans.
Okay, well, now much was made going into these by-elections of how you and your party have been struggling in the polls against the UCP, that maybe more was expected to come with your arrival a year ago. Now that you do have a seat, when do you put a significant Naheed Nenshi stamp on the party?
Well, I think we've done that.
I got to stop it right there. Sorry, I let this clip play a lot already, but he's already the interviewer is acting like, so when are you going to put your stamp on the party? He has been for a year, and people hate him. That's the problem. Why the media is trying to would they ever treat a conservative leader like this if their party had started slipping in the polls? They could have slipped half as much as Naheed Nenshi's NDP have, and they'd be like, so people don't like you very much. They wouldn't be like, oh, well, you haven't been in the legislature very long. They'd just be like, you suck. Why are you Hitler? And with like Nenshi, it's just like, you've fallen 12 points in the polls. You're struggling. But when are people going to start loving you?
Already, 89.5% in the leadership review is nothing to scoff at. But,
nobody voted in the leadership review or the leadership race.
I will say that the polls have been all over the place. There have been some that have shown that we're really doing well, some have shown we're doing poorly. At the end of the day,
he's also the type of man who will compare Danielle Smith to Donald Trump. And if there is one thing that Nenshi and Donald Trump share in common heavily, and I like Trump, but the one thing that Nenshi shares in common with him is pretending that there are polls out there showing him up when there might not be polls. And Trump way outperformed the polls, but the whole point is that there usually wasn't a lot of good polls out when he was like, we're leading massively. There is not one poll showing Naheed Nenshi's NDP doing even remotely well, not even in a spitting distance. And while, yes, the UCP beat the NDP by 8% in this last election, but it was technically close on seats because of the vote margins in Calgary ridings, still, the NDP is way below 8%. I think one poll had the UCP leading by like 20 or something like that, and one had them leading by 14. We are well past the point that the Conservatives are at risk of losing the election. They are firmed up in Calgary since they're finally cutting taxes, which is something I was critical of them for not doing. They've actually gotten off the net zero stuff, and they are just ignoring that. That was something I was happy with Danielle Smith for announcing. Wait times are getting better in hospitals. We actually are having the economy in Alberta improving at the same time economies like in BC and Ontario are doing really badly. The idea that like, oh no, we're doing really well, people want us, is patently insane.
The joke that politicians always use is polls are for dogs and firefighters. What really matters is on election day. And last night, we had an amazing night for the Alberta New Democrats. We actually matched the highest voter turnout, or highest voter percentage we've ever had in Edmonton Strathcona. We matched 2015, which was our high point there. And in fact, even in Old Didsbury Three Hills, we got more of a vote percentage than the Alberta New Democrats have ever had in that riding.
It was 1% better than last time. And again, celebrating having a really big win in the safest of safe Edmonton seats for the NDP is stupid. Do you think Pierre Poilievre, after he gets into office in Battle River Crowfoot. That by-election is probably happening federally in like August. Do you think he's going to get up and say, you know, this is the biggest win we've ever had in Battle River Crowfoot in the entire time the riding has existed? No, because that's loser energy. The fact that the NDP is trying to celebrate this as a big victory proves that they do not have any victories. They are trying to turn something that's not even a victory into a victory. But anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. I'm going to be back with more Alberta news at some point. By the way, if you live in the city of Calgary, make sure to sign up for a Sonia Sharp for mayor sign. She is the only conservative who actually can win. I'm going to start doing a review of all the candidates because the other guys pretending to be conservative, like Jeff Davison and Jeremy Farkas, are absolutely insane. Jeff Davison literally has a land acknowledgement on his own website and won't even commit to cutting taxes. But that should be it for me today, guys. Again, Sonia Sharp link, description below, pinned to the top comments. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys later.